In this first lesson, we import the reference photograph that we will use as a base to develop the various stages of the creative process. Let's open a new scene in Blender and delete all the default elements. In the 3D view, press Shift+A and select Image greater than reference. From the dialog window, navigate to the file corsostilllife.jpg and double-click on the file name. Since we imported the image in a perspective view, Blender has placed the object in a completely random position. To return it to an orthogonal position, we can proceed in two different ways. With the image selected, set all three fields, X, Y, and Z, of the rotation parameter to 0. Alternatively, click on the Object menu and select Transform, then align to Transform Orientation. Press RX90 to rotate the plane 90 degrees on the X-axis and set the view to front. In the Properties window, open the Object Data Properties tab for the empty object and check the opacity box. To prevent the reference image from getting in the way of our work, lower the opacity value to 0.2. Press the G key or click and hold the left mouse button on the green square of the pivot point and move the plane so that the base of the teapot is positioned at the center of the axis. This will be the first object we model. Let's zoom in and slightly move the image along the X and Z axes if necessary to better center the object. We can use the top part of the lid as a helpful reference point, and to move it more smoothly and precisely, simply hold down the Shift key during the operation. This will help you achieve smoother and more controlled movements. Before starting with the modeling, it's essential to correctly scale the reference image. This allows us to avoid modeling objects with unrealistic dimensions, either too large or too small compared to their real shape. Even though it may seem like a minor detail, a scaling error can negatively affect later stages, including texturing, material creation, lighting, and especially the final rendering. Let's set the display mode to wireframe. Press Shift+A and select Mesh, then Cube. Press Ctrl and the period key on the keyboard, and using Snap, attach the pivot point to the base of the cube. Press the Ctrl and period combination again. Set the Z value of the location parameter to 0. Change the dimensions of the cube to 15 centimeters. Now we need to make sure that the height of the reference teapot roughly matches the top of the cube. Press the period key on the keyboard, and from the pie menu that appears, select 3D cursor. The pivot point immediately moves to the 3D cursor. This allows us to scale the reference image starting exactly from this point. Select the image, press S and scale it so that the top of the teapot's body is roughly aligned with the top of the cube. If necessary, better center the photo using the Z-axis as a reference. Once you've achieved the result, you can delete the cube. In the outliner, Blender has placed the image inside the default collection, so let's rename the collection to Reference. Save the file with the name Still Life Course 01.